Welcome to Talmudic Treasures. Today we're learning Ketubot page 96, which discusses that when it comes to a relationship of a servant to a master, it is very similar in the way that that servant takes care of the master, in the way that a student is to serve his teacher. In fact, the Talmud here says that the student can basically do every single thing for his teacher in the same way that a servant would treat his master. However, there's only one exception, and that is he's not allowed to remove his teacher's shoes. And on this it says, apparently, this was something in which only slaves would do. Only slaves would remove their master's shoes. And therefore the problem would be that if someone would see this person taking off this man's shoes, they would possibly think that this guy's actually a slave, and therefore they would maybe start potentially a rumor that this person is an illegitimate person in the fact that they're not able to marry certain people, etc. However, the Talmud tells us there are two situations where we don't have to worry about that. First of all, it's only a problem where we don't know who this guy is. We have no idea who he is, and therefore it's possible by seeing him taking off the shoes, it looks like he actually is a servant. However, if people know who he is, they'll say, oh yeah, this is a student and this is a teacher, and therefore they're not going to get confused about it. Alternatively, even if it's someone that you don't know at all, but if they're wearing tefillin, that also is an indicator, because when a person is wearing tefillin, they would know they were not slaves. Slaves did not wear tefillin, and therefore if he wore it, even though he's taking off this man's shoes, they would not possibly mistaken him as a servant. Now we see from here, first of all, of course, when it comes to slavery, it's something which has been outlawed. It's something which certainly has tremendous negativity attached to it. However, we in certain ways equate the relationship of a servant and a master to a teacher and a student. That a student is supposed to have a certain element of fear, and that they should wish to serve their teacher. In fact, it says that if you have a teacher that says, you know what, I don't want you to do anything for me, maybe I don't want you to do all these favors for me, on this the Talmud says it's as though you're withholding kindness from your student. Because actually, even though you may as a teacher not want your student to do anything for you, but it's an important lesson. It's a lesson that your student should recognize and understand that there's a person who is more knowledgeable than me, someone that I wish to emulate. And by having you do things, having that student do things for you, so it'll build up in that student the understanding of this individual as someone important. I also have, as is mentioned in the Torah, that a person who is an elder or a scholar, when they walk into the room, that the student should stand up. And this is something in which a lot of people are particular. Not necessarily because the teacher wants that honor, but it's important for students to recognize that teachers are valuable and that the knowledge that they are sharing is something which is extremely important. And therefore, having them stand up when a teacher walks in a room is a way of instilling that notion, that feeling that this is something important. There's a person here that has a tremendous amount of knowledge and information, and you should show that individual a great level of respect. And therefore, the teacher has to show the student a way to be able to accomplish that, because by doing so, the Talmud also says that it will increase what's called yiras shamayim. That person will end up having a greater level of fear of heaven, because the relationship that a student has to a teacher is a way that they can also look at their relationship with God. Because a child looking up toward another person and showing reverence for another person, this is a way that they can also be able to understand how to serve Hashem, how to serve God, to recognize that there's something above them. So instead of having them sitting around not doing anything, which potentially could cause the problem that they think that they are the only ones that matter and I shouldn't do anything for someone else, this is a way of teaching them great lessons.